Hello, thank you for listening to 3 Legacies Recovery Recordings. If you enjoy our program, please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to share with a friend. We're also self-supporting, so feel free to contribute to the channel through Venmo at Recovery Recordings 615. Please note that the views expressed on this podcast are solely our individual views and do not represent any official stance of any 12-step program. We are not affiliated with any specific recovery organization, and this content should not be considered as professional advice for alcoholism or addiction.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to 3 Legacies Recovery Recordings podcast. I'm your host, Paul. Today is Tuesday, July 15th, 2025, and this is episode 49. I want to thank all the support that we've been getting from all the listeners. You can reach us out, or you can reach us on recoveryrecordings615@yahoo.com. You can also find us on our private Facebook page. It's 3 Legacies Recovery Recordings podcast. Audible, Spotify, iHeartRadio, several major platforms. And I am super excited about tonight's guest. I've been waiting on this for several months now. We got Jay Stinnett. How you doing, buddy?
Fantastic. Really nice to be with you.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. For all the listeners, Jay has just came out over the last few months. I think it was 2 or 3 months ago with Bill W. It's Conscious Contact. It's a new documentary on Bill Wilson's his spiritual, really his seeking, his spiritual journey in the later part of his life, and it's a fascinating documentary. And I've been looking forward to this interview for a while, Jay. I'd like to say thank you just for the whole thing.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Let me ask you this. Let's just start with give us a little bit about your background. You're a historian, right? You're a meditation teacher.
Right. Well, what happened is history has always excited me. I don't know why. And then about 1979, I got exposed to the history of Alcoholics Anonymous. Ernest Kurtz's Not God, and I think there was another book called Dr. Bob and the Good Old Timers that had just come out, and then a biography of Sam Shoemaker by his wife Helen called "I Stand by the Door."
Oh, nice!
And those 3 books talk about applying spiritual principles to an incomprehensible problem that had affected my family, just devastated it. So it was really fascinating, and over time I learned more and experienced more, and I've had the good fortune to be very involved with the Stepping Stones Foundation, the historical home of Bill and Lois Wilson in Katona, New York.
Nice.
I was the beta tester for their digital archive, helped raise some funds. This is they're now a national historical site. With my colleague William Shaberg, who I know you're going to be having on this coming weekend, the man who wrote a book called The Writing of the Big Book, we put together a thing called the Symposium on AA History back 10, 12 years ago that invited people that had done primary document historical research into the movement. And there's a real difference between primary historical documentation and this elegant mythology about Alcoholics Anonymous. And so being able to make sure that mythology wasn't weaponized by one group of people or another, and to really establish some core things about who these people were as opposed to different interpretations. there was a so that's what that. So I've been fascinated by this stuff for 45 years, 46 years now, and but the past few years things took a shift. As my beloved Janine likes to say, there was this story that was circulating in the ether for years about Wilson that was not in the AA coda at all. And one day it looked down and said, Stinnett can pull this off. Let's give it to him.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, you did a freaking amazing job with it, to be honest with you. It's cool too. Let me touch on this real quick. For the listeners, it's buildwconsciouscontact.com. And for the description of this, in the YouTube link, I'm going to put that link for the description of this video, or in the description of this video. But you answer some really cool questions. One of them being particularly the transcendental meditation side, because, in my history with Alcoholics Anonymous over the last 8 years, I have gotten into a lot of meditation. I got into a lot of different meditation at probably about 90 days in, right? But as when, reading the book, I was always like, I didn't realize until years into it that, he was talking about contemplation, more of a contemplation side, right?
Well, it's an interesting thing. One of the things that's very important when studying Wilson and the way that he communicated with people is that he never told them what to do. And he was very circumspect in what he did, because he learned in the very beginning that didn't work very well. And I think that a lot of that had to do with the response to his cohort Hank Parker's drinking and the rupture that they had. But anyway, back to the thing about meditation. In the film, we're talking about his relationship with transcendental meditation, so mantra-based meditation, one particular form. But the TM people always want to brand the word meditation. In other words, and I hang out with all these. I've been very, very fortunate. In fact, I'll tell you that I'm the most fortunate male form you've ever met. I've been meditating for 4 decades, and yet, unless you're doing their form of meditation, they don't say you're a meditator, which is fascinating. So when it's presented, it's really clear to say that they have a certain way of looking at the practice, which is, we got it, nobody else does. And so contemplation, as far as I'm concerned, is as valid a form of meditation as, many. So,
Sure.
And Wilson tried lots, but mantra meditation produces a result that's very different than most meditative practices.
Yeah. Let's talk on so when did you start the whole recording process for this whole thing? Like when did this actually become, other than the idea and it coming to you, how long did the process take?
Well, no, so this is a great story. So I go around, I give these talks about the history of the 12-step movement, and being that I'm a historian, I'm not going to be telling something as a fact unless I got 2 independent sources. Now, I'm as familiar as anybody is with all the, or at least have had access to much of the information at the General Service Office, all of Bill and Lois's private papers. There was never anything when I was doing searches on his spiritual path that said that he did TM.
Yeah.
And then we heard from somebody, and I found some journals, some transcendental meditation journals that talked about Wilson doing TM. So, it's really exciting, but couldn't get past the story. Didn't have any independent verification. So when I'm out giving these talks, I'd say this is only an anecdote. It's not history. But I'd put up a slide that showed Bill and the Maharishi separately. I didn't Photoshop them. And said, this is, we've heard this. And that was it.
Yeah.
Again, the thing about Wilson that's so remarkable is his continued desire to grow along spiritual lines.
Yeah.
Not generated by, his experience at town. So anyway, I'm down in Brownwood, Texas. Now, the only reason that God created Brownwood, Texas is to dispose karmic debt. I mean, this place is a 4-hour drive from any place that's got something aside from a Sonic drive-in. And, and I'm out here and I'm giving this talk, and a friend of a friend walks up and says, my dad taught Bill transcendental meditation. It was like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
So I'm thrilled. Then he says, would you like to meet my father?
Wow.
And my initial reaction is, what geriatric ward am I going to have to fly to meet this clown? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I get on, I call this guy up. His name's Lincoln Norton. And he's a dramatic, wonderful, and he actually has been doing TM twice a day since 1966.
Wow.
Now, some people get excited about meeting Michael Jordan, right?
Yeah.
You show me somebody who's been meditating twice a day since 1966. I'm on that right now.
Yeah.
So anyway, I call this guy up. He's bright. He's wonderful. And I'm doing a thing of giving some talks in Europe, and to different fellowship conventions, and I make arrangements that he and I will meet, and I call Sally Corbett-Turco, the executive director at Stepping Stones Foundation. I say, hey, I got this guy. How about I bring him up there with my iPad? We do a little recording of him. And she says, oh, yeah, that'd be interesting. And so we get going and start to make arrangements. It's getting close. And then I realize I'm friends with Kevin Hanlon, who with Dan Carosino made the Bill W. documentary. I helped him with some of the research stuff for that. Wow. So I call Kevin up and I say, well, I was going to do this. I think it's a 3-minute shoot. Yeah, or I mean, if I do it with the iPad, maybe the whole thing is going to cost $5,000 to get it nicely scrubbed and all that. But what if we did a 3-camera shoot? We did something really nice. Kevin said he'd do it. So I'm thinking, well, $10,000, $12,000, and we'll have a really nice, beautiful legacy piece. Now, here's where it starts to get really exciting. The Stepping Stones Foundation, because we were friends and the like, and they've got this amazing collection. They actually said to me, could we make this a joint venture?
Wow.
Now, this has nothing to do, I want to be very clear, they gave me zero. This whole thing's self-financed. I learned the etymology of the phrase "bet the house" on this. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. The fun thing is, so they start to give us access to the collection so that people can see things that they've never been able to see. We've got 150 photographs that people have never seen before.
Nice.
That opening montage that's about 7 minutes. Janine Johnston, who's the associate producer, she actually restored those so that the age of the image doesn't get in the way of how it plays. And then Kevin, we're able to cut together Wilson telling his story from 2 or 3 talks in ways that people have never heard before ever.
Yeah, that was good stuff too.
So we've got images and we've got Bill telling his story in ways that nobody's ever heard before. Bang.
Wow.
What a wonderful thing. Then their lawyer, when they were writing up the agreement, made the mistake of saying this documentary can be up to an hour of Hollywood quality. So we got a 60-minute film that cost $360,000. And I'm busy trying to raise money. I realize I can either try and raise money or I can make the most compelling film I possibly can and just make a bet the house on it. So we did. So anyway, so this is really cool, right? Got all this, we got access to all this stuff. We're able to actually get into Bill Wilson's writing studio where they take all the film off the windows and everything because they got to do it to, save the historical stuff. But we're able to show it in a light that people never get to see it at.
Nice.
So people get to see the home, parts of the home. They get to see his writing studio, a little bit of the grounds. So we're able to share with them this incredible repository of knowledge that's available to anyone. I mean, dig this. Anybody who's interested in the history of the family groups or Alcoholics Anonymous. 10 years ago, if you wanted to do historical research, or you just wanted to know a little something, you would call up, you'd make a reservation, you'd give them what information you were looking for. You'd have to kind of tell them specifically, because they ain't going to go fish for you.
Yeah.
And they'd go up there and they'd give you a stack of papers for you to look through. Couldn't take a picture of them or anything. You could transcribe them or you could record them, but you can't because they call them assets. So anyway, and then after a while they'd maybe bring you some more. And you, so from LA, I'd fly out there and back and forth, and I'm always on the clock, and it's like playing chess, with the timer. Well, now anybody that's listening to this program can go to steppingstones.org, and they can go to the right hand, and there's a tab called Learn, and they can have personal access after they register for free to Bill and Lois's private letters in a way that no one has ever been able to have previous to just 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Wow.
And is it everything? No, there's 100,000 documents. But from a general interest standpoint, so there's stuff that we've been able to come up with, like I like to call it Bill's first 12-step letter. He's 30 days into his relationship with the Oxford group.
Wow.
And he's writing to this guy that he was in Towns Hospital with, telling him that, I know you won't believe this, but I'm on the holy, the holy bandwagon or something. It was just hilarious. And then he sends him a copy of Vic Kitchen's book in there. But these are to do this. So part of that is these letters of Lois's and Bill's are built into the fabric of the movie about what they really did. Not what we're saying that they did, but what they actually did. And so anyway, we're busy going through all this, and we start to do the thing. Now, again, at this time, we're only thinking Lincoln Norton. Then we're thinking, well, we can, show more and more of the collection. Then Bill Shaber, who's, my closest colleague, he and I start talking, and we decide let's have him come in and have a discussion. So we have a little discussion about about all kinds of things about Wilson's personal spiritual journey. So this thing's all working really, really good. And then we actually go to film. Lincoln comes up to the house, and when he walks in, he realizes that this is not the house that he taught Bill Wilson TM.
Wow.
And, I kind of take a step back, and he kind of takes a step back. And now, again, we're talking about a guy that's, what is he? He's 87 years old, I think. Remembering, from 1969. And so anyway, we start talking and the like, and then this is the great thing about the Stepping Stones Foundation and why they deserve support. They've got everything. And Lois was a pack rat. She was a pack rat. And she was fanatical because she believed from the very beginning that Bill was going to be a very great man. And, she fished correspondence that she'd ripped up out of the trash can and taped it.
Wow.
So that it was all there. Anyway, so Lincoln remembers, and he tells the story about teaching Bill the TM and all that and how it happened. And then Sharon Wolf, who's the collections manager and the assistant director at Stepping Stones, she's going through some stuff, and we know the date. We know it's December 12th, 1969, because Lincoln had some notes about that. Right?
December 12th. Wow.
So it's the 35th anniversary to the day.
Wow.
Of Wilson going to into Town's hospital that this event occurs.
Wow.
And
sorry about that. Yeah.
You're an Oxford group member, that we'd say God calling. But anyway, the fun thing is that Sharon starts going through, and she's looking through Lois's diary, and she's looking through the log, because Lois kept a thing of everybody who came through the house, right? And so she's busy going through this, and what happens? She can't find anything. And then she made a mistake. She turned into January, and there was a checking meeting, and it says mantra meditation, and it's got all the people there. So we've got the two primary sources.
Wow. We
can say without a shadow of a doubt that Wilson learned transcendental meditation, that he had a group that came to the house,
Yeah.
So from it being one of these kind of stories about what could or could not be. So this is the real backbone of the film, is that story. And then we have some other supporting information that I think is really, really important for people to know about Wilson. That were part of I've been writing a book about him for years, but it was like one of these Teddy Roosevelt, 800-page volume books. It just kept going more and more and more, and it's like, come on, where's the story? Where's the story? But there are certain characteristics that he had that allowed this movement to actually start and grow and continue to morph, and a lot of it. So there were these different aspects about Wilson that I felt were vital for people to know. And what I've been able to do is incorporate them into the film.
Yeah, and you did an awesome job again, and it's cool because you get to see how like all the way up until like his entire life he was just constantly seeking, and I tell you, I had Chris S from New Jersey on the show, and he had mentioned when I think we were on the 11th step when we were going through a series that we did, but he had mentioned the guy that owned the publishing company for what is it, Penguin Audio or whatever? Is it Penguin Audio, or there was a no, it's not Penguin Audio. There was a guy that owned a publishing company that had a whole bunch of like rare, odd spiritual books that Bill used to go to his house, and me and you had a conversation on him. I forgot the name of the guy.
Well, no. There's a wonderful book for your. Stephen Prothero wrote a book called God, the Bestseller.
That was it. That guy. What? Yeah.
Eugene Exman.
Yeah, and what was the company?
Now Eugene Exman was the religion editor for Harper and Brothers.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's of and by himself an amazing character. One of the fun things people should know about Exman is he's the reason that the AA fellowship is formed the way that it is, because he's the one that told Bill Wilson and Hank Parkhurst, don't let somebody like me publish the book.
Oh, wow.
Self-publish it. And that's why AA has been able to, at least been self-supporting, kind of, up until the present day.
Nice. Interesting. Yeah, so you said he was the editor. Okay. Man, what a cool story. I mean, what do they say? Is it odd or is it God? Where all of a sudden, someone, brought this to y'all's attention. And in the documentary too, you have some video clippings of Bill signing that document saying he was there. And did I take this the right way on the documentary, where he only met with this Lincoln Norton? They only met like once or twice, right? Was it?
Well, no, the way that when someone learns the practice of transcendental meditation, there's the initial lecture, and then the individual is given their mantra. They actually are there's a ceremony before that's that they do a puja, where gratitude is expressed to the tradition. And one of the things that's very interesting about that, the way that comes, is that that way nobody ever thinks that what they're learning is something that came from the individual that's teaching them. That it's something much longer. And of course, with this particular type of mantra meditation, and they can follow it back about 12,500 years.
Yeah. So,
just been around for a little while.
Yeah.
So so what happens is you have this experience, then you go and you get your meditation, you do your first, and then your whoever taught you leaves, then they come back afterwards and they discuss it with you. And this actually happens 4 times. Total of four. They're called checking meetings.
Okay.
And so they met like 4 times.
Gotcha.
In the film, we talk about two specific instances that they met, but they had a couple of conversations. See, the way that Lincoln, and I just could kick myself from here to Cleveland over this one. The reason that Lincoln taught Bill TM was that his father was a longtime sober guy right there in Bedford Hills, and was very close to Bill's associate Helen Wynn, and so they suggested maybe Bill might like to, or asked if he'd like to try it. Another thing everybody should know is Bill paid for his mantra just like everybody else does.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, there was these 4 times that they met, but tangentially through his father and his father's friends, and alcoholism runs in Lincoln's not a member of one of the fellowships, but a lot of his families had problems with alcohol, and so there tangentially was some fun things.
Yeah, I tell you.
But would you like another story?
Absolutely.
It's not in the film.
Yes, sir.
About Bill and TM.
Sure. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So anyway, I've already told you I'm the most fortunate guy on the planet.
I'm seeing that.
And like anybody that likes to do things, I mean, I've taught meditation, different types for years and done a lot of different things. But when I'm going to learn something, I go to a pro, right? So I'm not a TM guy, but I've got a mantra meditation that I've learned that's kind of from the same root and all that stuff. And so I got this guy that's my teacher. He's my and we get together occasionally and talk. And so I'm talking to him, and he says, "Well, what's up?" And I say, "Well, I'm making this movie about Bill Wilson and TM." This guy looks me dead in the eye, and he wants to be anonymous. That's why he's not in the film. He says, "Well, I meditated with Bill." What? You gotta be kidding me. And he says, no. He said, now just like Lincoln, this guy was part of what was called the Student International Movement. And when the Maharishi would be here in the United States, going to college campuses in the 60s and 70s, he would invite students to come, and if they wanted to come to India and learn the practice more deeply, and if they wished to become initiators. So this guy, just like Lincoln did, he signs up and he goes. And so he learns it, and he comes back to the United States. He's going around teaching people just like Lincoln was. Anyway, he's at his dad's house in Tampa. And he's teaching TM to Strategic Air Command bomber pilots so that they can be more present, because things were a little dicey back in those days, right?
Oh, wow. Was this the same 1970s era? Like, is that?
Yeah, this is not. No, this would be July of 1970.
Okay.
June 1970. So anyway, he's there doing this. Lincoln was out teaching meditation different places. Somebody from Bill's camp. Now you have to remember, Bill's emphysema is awful. He's hallucinating. He's not able to do. He's down at the convention in Miami in 1970. International AA just had its 90th up in Vancouver this last week. So anyway, he's down there, and he's really, really having a tough time. So he gets somebody to call up to the TM Center up in New York and say, is there anything else I can do? Because one of the things that they've done lots of scientific research and the like, but about this is that when somebody does this particular technique, they relax at a level that is deeper than sleep, which allowed Bill to absorb more oxygen during that 20 minutes twice a day. Now, in TM, you only do 20 minutes twice a day. That's it, no matter what. Blah, blah, blah. Is there somebody calls up to New York, says, is there anything else? Well, Jerry Jarvis, who was the Maharishi's right-hand guy, goes to the Maharishi and says, is there something we can do? And the Maharishi says, send a qualified instructor, and if this person's meditation practice can withstand it, let them go an hour twice a day. but you got to make sure that he can tolerate it. And the Maharishi said that either nature will go its course, or spontaneous remission may happen. So Lincoln's busy. Jerry Jarvis knows that my buddy's in Tampa, calls him up and said, "We need you to go on a mission." Now, my buddy's thrilled. It's the first time headquarters has ever called him. Get on there, go down, do this stuff. And so he borrows a car from his dad, drives from Tampa to Miami, goes in and meets Bill Wilson. He didn't know Bill Wilson from anybody.
Yeah.
Just like with Lincoln. I mean, they don't know. I mean, Alcoholics Anonymous in 1970 was anonymous movement. And anyway, so he goes in, he walks into this house, he meets Bill, they start talking. Bill's, really in trouble. He's got his oxygen mask on, he's got a long lead, and they're talking, and they get more and more excited, and Bill takes off his oxygen mask, lights up an L&M cigarette. The woman who was there helping him out, she got all freaked out, not because Bill was smoking, but because of the oxygen in the flame. Right?
That's funny.
So anyway, they go into the room and they start to meditate together. And my friend says, Bill was a champion meditator.
Wow.
Repeat that to me.
Yeah.
Bill was a champion meditator. And in the film, Lincoln says that Bill was a very good meditator. So, I mean, it's, that. So anyway, they meditate together for an hour, and then my buddy goes and stays at a Motel 6, then comes back the next day and does another hour with him. And so now I got two different people telling me the same story about this incredible presence of the last century.
You just touched on something my wife observed when we were watching the documentary last week. She had mentioned how, there's always this talk about how Bill, this or Bill that, but she was like, Lincoln just mentioned that she had no clue who this Bill Wilson guy was. He had no clue who Bill Wilson was, So it tells you right there that he had some kind of humility, right? He went, "Oh, I'm Bill Wilson."
Yeah.
Right. And she had made that observation. We were watching it last week, which was cool. And you had just talked about right there. You said he had no, but you made a comment just a second ago. You said in the 70s you said it was an anonymous.
Well, it was anonymous.
It was different then, huh? Different ball game then.
When my family started to get involved at the end of that decade, 1979, you really had to know somebody to get in.
Oh wow. Okay.
There wasn't the industry had not grown up. And but so another thing about this that I think is really, really vital, that I hope comes to everyone that sees this, that has any tangential relationship with the movement, is that at the very darkest moment, Bill is leading into spirit, not out.
Wow.
So the question to people that are having challenges is, which way are you going? Everybody, material culture wants people to move away from spirit. He's moving in.
Wow.
So anyway, that's a wonderful thing. Another fun thing from all this stuff, and this is not in the film. Hopefully there'll be we did film a little about it. Have you ever heard about Bill's plant?
No. Bill's plant.
Okay. So if you go up to Stepping Stones, or there's a person out of Atlanta, you get around a bit and you'll meet people that will give you this creeping Charlie ivy and they say this is a cutting from Bill's plant.
Oh yeah, I have some acorns from there. Yeah,
yeah. Well, different thing. Not from the house. The acorns from the house. They say this is Bill's plant, and a lovely story. The story is that that when he died, the plant that was in the hospital room where he died was taken out and all this stuff. But as a historian, he died in Miami. They'd gone home to Bedford Hills. He was flown on a Learjet, and basically he didn't survive the night after they landed. I'm not going to take a plane.
Yeah.
What is this? What? So anyway, I try very hard never to disparage people's things that encourage people.
Interesting. Cool.
But to myself, I'll just go,
yeah.
And if somebody's trying to make it like, this is a piece of the Holy Hand Grenade from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, probably not, But anyway, so it turns out that this creeping Charlie plant was actually in the hospital in New York, because Bill was in and out of the hospital for 6 months. He basically had his own room there, all that stuff. And his friend, Helen Wynn, was given the task of bringing this plant out. And she and Lois each had a piece of it. And they gave it to people as a kind of an admonition for folks' support of sobriety and the like. And so we were able to find out that, the story's true, just a little bit different. But we actually were able to talk to somebody who said, my sister, Lincoln's sister, had the plant, and all that stuff. And what a fun thing that is. So these are just the wormholes that storytellers and those of us who want to make sure that philosophies and practices aren't appropriated to folks that have agendas.
Nice.
Enjoy.
Let's talk about this. So on the documentary, it's mentioned that, until Bill had went into Towns Hospital and had that white light experience, he was just a strictly scientific man, right?
Oh yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that. Like, Well,
the way that Wilson describes it in his own letters, and there's some really fun ones. There's for folks that have My 40 Years. That's a book that Hazelden published. My first 40 years, Bill telling his story. One of the things he talks about is this thing of worshiping at the altar of science. And that if it couldn't be proved, he didn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
And so in the film, we happen to mention that part about him, being a young kid and the gossip in the town, and then he gets this temperance pledge dropped on him, and that was the last time that he ever did anything. It's funny. There are people that actually say that AA was created by two old white Christian guys.
I'm glad you said that.
Au contraire.
Yeah.
And there was a man who represented, who had a very, very, he had an agenda. He wasn't a historian. He had an agenda, wrote all kinds of books. It's the same book written 40 times. Trying to prove that Dr. Bob was this Christian person, and that Wilson hijacked AA, and that that the success rate, the weaponizing of the forward to the second edition, which is always hilarious. 50% recovery rate at once, and all those those kind of things. But anyway, that his that Dr. Bob's Christian upbringing was the reason Alcoholics Anonymous was. Hey, you read Dr. Bob's story in that Alcoholics Anonymous book, and he says, "I made a vow never to darken the door of a church as long as I couldn't avoid it." Christian endeavor, that was it. Yeah, he wanted to make Christian endeavor the thing, and Bob's talking about having to go to church twice on Sunday and Wednesday this, and all this. These were not. When they were given the gift of sobriety, it was in a movement that was Christian. But Wilson says very clearly in a number of his he'd never say it publicly because he was somebody that always wanted folks to be able to come together, never excluding anybody.
Nice.
And one of the things he says is that he wanted to make sure that AA would never be an organization that he couldn't have joined. You got to have faith to come in. He had no faith.
Yeah.
He had no faith.
Yeah.
So anyway, fun thing about these two guys is that Wilson said, when I took a look at the Christian solutions, the Christian missions, I couldn't be impressed by what was happening. And people act like somehow Alcoholics Anonymous got hijacked, when indeed what it was to provide an alternative to all those people that were not of a certain brand.
I was going to say, I love when y'all use the word brand on the documentary. That's so good.
Yeah. Well, it's like, if we can, there's a brilliant man, a wonderful book that's very helpful to many people in the movement called Beyond Belief. Have you had Joe C. on?
I have not.
He is a remarkable man.
Yeah.
One of the things he says is, as long as people stick to their experience, there's never a conflict.
There you go. Yeah.
There's never a conflict.
Yeah.
Because we can't integrate experience. So anyway, another fun thing. So Wilson said, we wanted it so that other people would have the opportunity. So it wasn't a matter of this movement being snapped out, and it was a thing that Wilson's pragmatism. What works? And following that and encouraging that instead of jamming an idea down someone's throat.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I think that was for me, was the pivotal, like the game changer for Alcoholics Anonymous for me was, like I had come in with all these ideas that had been, taught to me for years. I was 33 years old, and I would tell you, yeah, I'm this. But the truth is I wasn't. I was like, I don't even know what this even means. And
right.
We started going through the process, and whenever they were like, you get to choose your own conceptions of a power greater than you, it's like, oh, wow. And it was funny because it was kind of frightening to me at that time because I'd been raised where like, whoa. You don't understand.
Yeah.
I'm going to hell for that.
Well, see that, yeah, but see the thing is that the misunderstanding of what it is that Alcoholics Anonymous is a heir to, by heir, HEIR. See, this is just an observational thing from taking a look at the movement and a lot of others and a lot of other people. And one of the things that's really interesting is that you can go to any religious organization just about anywhere in the world and say, I got trouble. They say, well, we'll teach you ways to pray and to do things and live your life and change things a bit, and you can get free from that. All very true. All very true. However, what the Oxford group came up with was a methodology that was so radical in nature that when it morphed into the 12 steps, what happens is you take a look at any spiritual movement, most of them have, when folks cross over, this idea of some kind of life review. Now, when you're doing this life review, you see where you were wrong, this and that, and then maybe your next ride, you have the opportunity to change that. In the 12-step fellowships, what people are told is, well, that's all very good that you've had this, change of mind and believe there's a power in light, but you have to go pay back the money. Now, Paul, you've been around a lot of people in a lot of different spiritual paths, just like I have. Nobody says you go pay back the money.
No.
Nobody says, you haven't talked with your mom for 10 years? You got to go make that right.
No.
And we don't, and people aren't, they don't say, well, you should do this. They say, I have that experience, but I know somebody that does. You need to go talk to them and find out how they made that right so you'd make that right. So what I'm talking about when one views the 12-step fellowships and the incredible, this is why material culture is so dismissive of it. Because the 12-step process actually allows people to experience the life review incarnate.
What do you mean? What do you mean by incarnate?
In the body.
Oh, wow.
Conscious now.
Wow.
We don't, the 12-step fellowships don't, the folks who actually do the stuff, they don't have to wait until they drop their bodies.
Yeah. It's a direct
They
experience.
do it now.
Yeah, direct experience.
Can you imagine the acceleration that's available for people from a spiritual standpoint that actually do that stuff? So this is what we're talking about. We're talking about applying spiritual principles to an awful malady. Now, the other thing that I think is really important for people that are looking at a macro view of the 12-step fellowships is that it's a noble experiment. It's only been around for 90 years.
Yeah.
100 years ago, it's a death sentence. Now, everybody's got, some really good ideas on how to tweak things and this, that, and other, all of which are wonderful. But at the core, this thing about admitting powerlessness, coming to believe that there's some other way out than what a person has of their own thing, and it's funny that you described an experience that you've had, and I've talked to many people in the fellowship that have this. And they have to figure out what their higher power is before they turn their life over to it. There was a guy I was interviewing once. He said, "Oh, what I recommend to people is your life's such a mess. turn it over, whatever will take it. He'll do a hell of a lot better job than you have, Bucky.
Yeah.
And but then this thing of, where is so much of what's going on in this particular postmodern era has to do with people denying what it is that they've done.
Wow. So true.
You can take a look at any level. So one of the things that the fifth step, the fourth and fifth step, and for example, the whole, I don't even know. The whole thing about abuse that happens in the home, specifically sexual abuse, was something that 50 years ago was not even in public consciousness at all. What was happening to young women and men, children. When the 12-step process was being used in the sanctity of Alcoholics Anonymous by our lesbian friends, they started telling each other the truth. They started for the first time seeing that what it was that this happened.
Wow.
Okay? Then, and you take a look at the social history, I'm old enough to watch the huge pushback that happened in the early 80s against this whole memory movement and all this stuff. But it was, so you talk to anybody that's been in an incomprehensible situation, all they really want, first and foremost, is to be acknowledged that it happened. So the liberation that comes in the 8th and 9th step is when people who have harmed others go and look them in the eye, violated people's trust, and said, I did this. How can I make that right? That's what liberates people on both sides of the conversation.
Wow.
So this is why the power structure is so threatened by the 12-step movement. Because it is not, and they want to make us, they want to make the fellowships an organization in the traditional sense of the word. And it's not. It has to do with spiritual power. And what happens? People get unleashed from the chains of addiction in doing the 9th step, and they are given the opportunity to heal something which no doctor, judge, lawyer, family member, clergy person, anyone can do. To actually liberate another person. If you want to, if you want to go biblical about it, you could say they've raised the dead.
Wow. It's funny. I'd not funny, but I'd have never even considered 50 years ago, but it's so true. 50 years ago, it's not something that's not even spoke of.
Absolutely.
That's crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah. And anybody who said it was marginalized in ways that you can't even imagine.
Yeah. Wow.
It's your problem. It's not mine.
Yeah.
All of that.
Yeah.
So So anyway, that's a little thing about the power of the methodology. This noble experiment that we say in the film, 2 million people walking around unsupervised. There's no probation, no premiums to be paid, So it's thrilling, and my family. There are 2 members that got out of 12.
Wow. Mm. Man, I think you mentioned on there how, what is it you said? I forgot the numbers you said, but you was talking about how generations and generations of your family, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, my mother's maiden name's Wallace. Go watch Braveheart. Got all the alcoholism and violence you could ever want. So here's something that's really fun. Many years ago, I had the good fortune to write a book in response to called "Loving Sober," a field guide to spiritual intimacy. And the engine of it is the Oxford practice of how to listen. Now, notice I don't say two-way prayer. How to listen. Why? So everybody can come in. You can't imagine how many people out there in popular culture believe the 12-step movement is a Trojan horse for Christianity. Somebody gets, their partner gets sober and they're all worried about, that kind of stuff. And they come home and say, well, you do step 11 with us. And, what are they showing? So, fun thing. I was married to a member, and she and I started meditating together before we were doing anything else. And we meditated once or twice together a day for 28 years. There are people in in your audience that probably would understand this. There's a line that says, if circumstances warrant, we invite our wives and friends. Warrants are very serious things. Anyway, so I'm fortunate to be married to this woman, and we actually did that for the 28 years that we were together. She dropped her body almost 3 years ago. Wow. And so the scientists now, they're trying to figure out ways to sell meditation. So they got the biofeedback and they got the neural pathways and blah, 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 blah. But, they know that when two people meditate together, that they connect on a cellular level and something beyond cellular. Wow. And you do that with somebody over a long period of time. It's quite interesting what happens. So here's the exciting thing about the film. In the film, because I had the benefits of being with somebody where we actually did what her book suggested that we do, we had a thrilling time together, although we had all the problems that anybody ever has and all that kind of stuff. In the movie, we have Lois describing what she and Bill actually did.
Yeah. Love that.
Now, I know whereof I speak. And I've spent the past, wrote that book. That book came out 15 years ago, and it's for free on the internet and on iBooks, because I wanted the message in consciousness. Anyway, so I have this incredible experience. So here Lois is talking about what she and Bill actually did. Now, with any luck, the people that are listening to this have somebody that they're speaking to in complete sentences on a regular basis. But even if you're in a sober living home, when I left my family, my daughter used to bring my meditation timer to me when she was 3 years old.
Wow.
But this is what Lois says. This is what we did. We started our morning with a cup of coffee in bed. Okay. This is Jay Stinnett telling everybody out there, many of you are fortunate enough that either you or your beloved drops a cup of coffee for you in the morning. It's too easy. Bring your own cup and get in bed with them. Huh?
Yeah.
Now, come on. Drinking. So meditation, Lois's meditation instruction number 1, drink in bed with your beloved.
Wow.
Give me a break,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, what an order. I can't go through with it. Okay. She said, then we would be quiet, maybe 3 to 4 minutes, and ask God's direction for the day. That's it.
Wow.
Just asking for direction, period.
Yeah.
And then whatever came in, when they were done, they would talk about it. They would discuss their plans for the day, and they would say their prayers and go out. Now, I've described to you a 10-minute practice that anybody in the 12-step movements can do. It's simple. There's no theology to it. There's no blah, blah, blah to it. This is real practical. And you can spend the 10 minutes with each other, or you can spend, that 60-minute aggregate in therapy once a week.
That's funny.
Come on. This is not that difficult. But I would submit to you, back to this thing about a noble experiment. Anybody that's on this thing, I'd suggest that you at least give an experiment, which is following a set of instructions to see whether or not it's true.
Nice.
And that if people follow this very, very simple methodology, that they can have a wonderful day. And I would submit to you that it changes the world.
Wow. I believe it. So practical, so simple. Man.
And in Lois's very own.
It's funny. Yeah.
We got it for everybody, man. How cool is that?
Yeah. That's
How
awesome.
cool is that?
Yeah. It's funny how we just complicate the crap out of this. Yeah, man, this has been awesome, man. What a cool experience.
Well, let me ask your listeners for a favor.
Okay.
Okay. Now, earlier I talked about betting the house on this thing. Okay. So I got this be personal. Go to Bill W. consciouscontact.com, and then you can go and buy the film. Cost you $7.99. If I'd written the book, my buddy Shaberg that you're having on, the book's going to be $30. So it's cheap.
Yeah.
Number 2 is you don't have to extend yourself like reading. You can get it from watching. So there's that. Number 2, there's a gift option. So I know that no one that's listening to this has people that they sponsor that whine to them about the 11th step. Have them gift the film to them. Okay? So there's gift thing there. But also there's, in the buy section, there's a thing called pay what you want. So it's like a GoFundMe thing, except I wasn't asking for money up front. So if you watch the movie and you enjoy it and you want to drop, some coin, it'll help with the post-production costs, because there are a lot. And we're, but the most important thing is watch the film and see what an open, dynamic legacy the 12-step fellowships are, and get to see the people. We were able to use that wonderful, so Kevin Hanlon, the guy who directed the last Bill W. thing, is my director. And we made sure, I said, you got to put this in. Talk about the homelessness. Talk about the fact that Bill and Lois were without any place to live for 2 years. They were couch surfing. And go to steppingstones.org, go to the Learn section, and sign up so that you can be. See, the thing, Paul, is that about being a historian, my desire, I'm reading this letter from June 5th of 1958 that Bill Wilson wrote to Sam Shoemaker. And it exposed me to a man that was deeper, broader, wider, and more courageous than anything that I'd ever read about him prior.
Wow.
And when I saw that, and that was 23 years ago, I said, that's the person that I want to expose people to.
Wow.
I hope that when they watch the film, they will see someone that had some courage, and that who, with some friends, was able to put a methodology together that is really just remarkable. I'm looking across at the studio here at my home, and I have a daughter there that's got 3.5 years in the fellowships.
Wow, nice.
And she got the gift during COVID. So that's her métier. That's her thing. She sponsors. She's in book studies. She's doing it all. She's got an incredible ability to carry a message of healing.
Wow.
So I'm just trying to encourage people to watch the movie, and hopefully. Another thing that's really interesting, Paul, is that there is nothing in Alcoholics Anonymous that is geared to people that don't read.
Yeah.
And one of the things that's been really fun is to see all these people that are newer, that have never read Bill's story, that aren't familiar with passing on,
Yeah.
all the thing that righteously involved people know, that are of a certain, income and a certain education and all that stuff, but that they are overwhelmed at getting to see this man, and to get in touch with this story a bit. So I look forward to whatever our next interaction can be.
Yeah, likewise. And you did such it's funny what you just mentioned, because when I walked away from the documentary, I looked at it like that. It's like, wow, this man has just constantly on the move, trying to do, to seek, which is the key to this whole thing, I believe, seems. Thank you so much, Jay.
And the fun thing about that, because I think it's really important. People act like he was seeking out of pain.
Yeah.
Nah, he was evolving.
Wow. Yeah. I love what you said earlier about leaning into the spirit. Man. That's a game changer. That's it. Yeah.
You betcha.
Yeah. Thank you so much, man. And for the listeners, I will have like I said earlier, on the description to this video on YouTube, I will have the link to buildwconsciouscontact.com. You can get on there and gift that and check it out for yourself. And we will be back with Jay next Tuesday. Appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, and the fun thing is there's different places that we are and that will be at the International. We had hundreds of people come up to the booth where I was selling the merch and all that stuff, to try and help cover things. Come and tell us their personal white light experiences.
Nice. Yeah. Wow.
So come by, man. Talk to us.
Absolutely.
All right?
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, buddy.
Okay. All right. Talk to you later.
Have a wonderful night, buddy.
Hello. Thank you for listening to 3 Legacies Recovery Recordings. If you enjoy our program, please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to share with a friend. We're also self-supporting, so feel free to contribute to the channel through Venmo at Recovery Recordings 615. Please note that the views expressed on this podcast are solely our individual views and do not represent any official stance of any 12-step program. We are not affiliated with any specific recovery organization, and this content should not be considered as professional advice for alcoholism or addiction.